Hey everyone, I'm Kipes and I do daily recaps of every NHL game, every day, every game, every goal, everything that you could want in a game. I try to cover it all. But it's been a bit of a weird week. I was sick all week, still kind of am. But at the same time, I went to a game in Calgary here as well. But we are back on track leading up into the Four Nations face-off. Join me as I cover tonight's games. We had 5 on the schedule. Starting off in New York, at Madison Square Garden, we had the New York Rangers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins, where the Pittsburgh Penguins, they beat the New York Rangers without captain Sidney Crosby. This was the Pittsburgh Penguins' first time winning a game without Crosby since 2021, November 11th, 2021. That is a very long time for winning a game without your star player, and that just means how much that guy is valuable to his team, MVP of his team, year in and year out, and they should start looking at what could happen in the future because his days are technically numbered in the league as he is getting older. The Four Nations face-off, it does start on Wednesday, so we kind of wonder is this precautionary measures for Crosby so he can play in the tournament, or is he actually that hurt that he cannot even play? He was on the ice the other day for light work, just doing some tip-ins and doing some light stuff on his own without teammates. So who knows what's going on, and I'm sure nobody will say anything until the Four Nations face-off actually kicks off. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, it was Blake Lizotte, Philip Tomasino, and Rickard Rakell getting the 3 goals for their team to help them win this game. Rickard Rakell, he's having an absolutely lights-out year. No wonder he got named to Sweden's team to replace, I forget who he replaced, but I'm shocked that he wasn't a part of that team off the initial squad, but yeah, Sweden has a very good team, so maybe that's why they pick some other guys. But at the same time, he will be an amazing addition for that Swedish team. Brian Rust, he also had a good game for the Pens. He had 2 assists in this game. The Penguins, they are having a very mediocre, very blah season. They are only 23, 24, and 9. They have points in their past 4 games, which is something to be happy about. But at the same time, Kyle Dubas, GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins, has announced that the team is pretty much for sale, minus Crosby, and I think he said minus Malkin, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Malkin is up for sale as well, even though he is hurt right now. Alex Nedeljkovic, he made 9 saves in the third period alone. He made 24 saves in total for the game in the route to the win tonight. This was the first time since November of 2021 that they have played the Penguins without both Crosby and Malkin. Yes, Crosby and Malkin are vital to any success that the Penguins could have right now or in the future, but it is nice to see that the team stepped up in the absence of both these players. Yes, at the top I said Crosby is the MVP of that season, of that team every season, but how can he not be, right? For the Rangers, Vinny Trocheck, he will be part of the United States squad for the Four Nations face-off starting on Wednesday. He had a goal and an assist in this game. Igor Shesterkin, the goaltender for the New York Rangers, he was in net tonight. He made 23 saves for the Rangers. The Rangers, they are now 26, 24, and 4. They outshot the Penguins 9-0 in the third period. They absolutely dominated that period. But at the same time, they had 2 chances at 6-on-4 to convert anything, to try to tie the game late, but they just could not convert. The goalie, Nedeljkovic, he stood tall. He played very well in the third period, getting absolutely shelled with no support from his team. Yeah, 0 shots by the Penguins in the third period is absolutely insane. So the Rangers, they could not pull the trigger and get the tying goal as the Pittsburgh Penguins beat them 3-2. Up next, we got another New York team, but this time it was the Islanders. They were in Winnipeg, Manitoba tonight facing the Jets, but the Jets, they took control of the away team, winning 4-3. Gabriel Velarde, he was the star of the show for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. He got 2 goals in this game as the Jets, they win their 8th straight game. Absolutely outrageously good season from this Jets team so far. Nikolai Ehlers and Alex Iafallo were the other 2 goal scorers for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor each had 2 assists for the Jets. But at the same time, this is the main players for the Jets, the main star forwards coming in clutch for the Jets, and they're all having absolutely amazing seasons. I did not expect the Jets to stay this consistent all season long, and you know what? I'm not too upset about it. Yes, I do not like the Jets very much at all as a diehard Leafs fan, but at the same time, you got to give credit where it's due and root for a Canadian team to have success. The Jets, they are having a stupidly good season, like I've been saying, nonstop. They are 39, 14, and 3 on the season. This win for the Jets does put them at the very top, number one spot in the NHL, but at the same time, they do have 2 games in hand against the Washington Capitals. So at the same time, if the Capitals win one of those, or both of those games, I should say, because it is only 2 points, and if the Capitals, they win those 2 games, they will leapfrog, you idiot. But they will leapfrog the Jets in the standings and take over the number 1 spot. But holy smokes, these 2 teams are fighting tooth and nail each game. Connor Hellebuyck, he was extremely busy in this game between the pipes for the Winnipeg Jets. He made 32 saves in total, 18 in the third period alone. The New York Islanders, they made it extremely tough for Connor Hellebuyck, but this just proves why he would be my vote for the Vezina Trophy as the best goaltender in the league. He's having a stupidly good season, and it scares me big time heading into the Four Nations face-off where he will be the number 1 goalie for the Americans. But at the same time, you got to beat the best goalies to win the best trophies, and the Canadians will have to figure that out heading into that international tournament. The 3 goal scorers for the New York Islanders, Mark Gatcomb, Simon Holmstrom, and Kyle Palmieri were the contributors to this game. The Islanders, they are now 25, 22, and 7. They had won 8 of 9, so they were on a very good run, but they did run right into an extremely hot team as well. You made it really tough for the Jets, and that is something you can take away as a positive from this game, but at the same time, just keep winning, next game, just go back and win another one, get that confidence back in the room, because the Islanders, they were looking like a pretty good hockey team up until this point. Ilya Sorokin was in net for the New York Islanders. He made 23 saves along the way to the loss. This game, it was very back and forth until Ehlers, he scored to make it 3-2, and then Velarde, he got his second goal of the game to make it 4-2, but the Palmieri goal, it did make it 4-3, giving hope back to the Islanders, but it was a little too late, and the Jets just shut down defensively and decided to win the game, which is awesome for the Jets in the standings. So the Winnipeg Jets, they win 4-3 against the New York Islanders Friday night. Our third game of the night was the battle of the bottom of the barrel of the NHL. It was not 2 teams that many people would tune in willingly, but at the same time, we have to cover it. It was a part of the schedule, and it was the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Nashville Predators, 2 very unimpressive teams, very disappointing teams, very boring teams this season so far. And the Chicago Blackhawks, they decided to make it very interesting for the home fans. They win 6-2. Ryan Donato, he contributed on 4 of the 6 goals for the Chicago Blackhawks, having a phenomenal game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. This was Donato's first 4-point game of his career in the NHL, so very impressive night for him. The forward, he has 8 points in his past 5 games. He's on a nice little stretch of games. This was a night where several players of the Blackhawks all had individually good nights. Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, and Seth Jones each had a goal and an assist, contributing also like Donato did and getting multiple points. And overall, it was a very impressive night. Paul Bissonnette on the TNT broadcast started calling it pond hockey for the Chicago Blackhawks, saying it's just boring and not very interesting. And Connor Bedard, he took that personally because his goal in this game was an absolute bomb from the face-off circle, and it was just a beautiful shot and just showing what that player can do if given the opportunity. Former Toronto Maple Leaf Peter Mrazek, he was in net for this game. He made 31 saves in the winning effort for the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, they are now 17, 31, and 6. They had lost 3 in a row. It's just a pathetic season so far from the Blackhawks, not giving their fans very much to cheer about at all. Another 2 players that had very good games for the Chicago Blackhawks was Teuvo Teravainen and Alex Vlasic. They each potted 2 assists on the night. Finnish goaltender for the Four Nations face-off, Jussi Saros, he was in net for the Chicago Blackhawks, or not for the Chicago Blackhawks, for the Nashville Predators. He had a night to forget big time, because this is not... It's going to be nice for Jussi Saros to actually play behind some very good defense, even though the Finnish defensemen are starting to drop like flies, because at the same time they have had to replace 2 Finnish defensemen for this tournament in the past week. So we will see how even the Finnish defense will stand in front of Jussi Saros. Back to Saros though, he made 24 saves along the way to the loss, letting 6 goals in along the way and just having a very bad night. Just to prove how bad the Nashville Predators have been so far this season, they only have 1 more win than the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks are in the middle of a rebuild, whilst the Nashville Predators, they had a buying offseason. They bought Steven Stamkos, they bought Jonathan Marchessault, they have Brady Shea. No, they don't. Yes, they do. Yeah, they have Brady Shea. They have UC Saros. Those are core players of this franchise, and you don't buy that much in the offseason without expecting to win more than 18 games so far this season. That's absolutely brutal from the Nashville Predators. Nazar, his goal was the first one of the game, but 20 seconds later, it was Colton Sissons tying the game at 1-1, but after that, the Chicago Blackhawks picked up their bootstraps and took control of this game. So the Chicago Blackhawks, they have a rare off one-night game that they have an absolutely amazing game, scoring 6 goals tonight en route to a 6-2 win against the Nashville Predators. We move from the bottom of the barrel of the NHL to the two of the very best in the NHL, Colorado taking on Edmonton in Edmonton, Alberta. The Avalanche, they beat the crap out of the Flames here in Calgary last night, and they move up 3 hours north and take control of the Edmonton Oilers, even though it was a very close game. The Avalanche, they win 5-4. Newly acquired Martin Necas from the Carolina Hurricanes, he is fitting in perfectly with the Colorado Avalanche. It's very hard to not to do so when you have Nathan MacKinnon on your line, so give credit where it's due for Necas, but at the same time, you have a superstar in MacKinnon feeding you pucks all night. I could put the puck in the net if I had him feeding me the puck. And that's not saying much because I'm not that good. Necas, he got the game-winning goal late in the third period, putting the Avalanche ahead en route to the victory. Nathan MacKinnon, Nate Dogg, he had an amazing game. He had 4 points. He contributed on all but one of the goals for the Colorado Avalanche tonight. Absolutely amazing night to him. He had 1 goal and 3 assists on the night. Just absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to see him in the red and white in the Four Nations face-off. I cannot wait to cheer for this guy instead of constantly rooting against him when he's playing my favorite teams. But at the same time, it's going to be so much fun seeing him link up with all the other great Canadian players. Nathan MacKinnon, these 4 points were en route to continue his lead in the NHL for the most points. He has 87 points of the season so far. Absolutely outstanding. Proud Calgary native Cale Makar, he played very good last night here in Calgary at the Saddledome, just proving to his friends and family that he is an amazing player. He will also be on Team Canada. I cannot wait to cheer for him as well. He had an amazing night in this game as well. He had 2 goals and an assist, and Arturi Lehkonen, forward for the Colorado Avalanche, he had a goal and an assist in this game as well. The Avalanche, they're on a nice little run of games. They have won 4 of 5. And just continuing to climb the charts of the Western Conference standings. They are 33, 22, and 2, just having a very good season once again. Mackenzie Blackwood, he was in net for the Colorado Avalanche. He made 23 saves along the way en route to the victory. For the Edmonton Oilers, guess who scored? Leon Draisaitl. He actually got 2 goals in this game alongside Corey Perry, who also added the double. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he also had 2 assists in this game, having a good night. As the Oilers, they dropped to 34, 17, and 4. They had won their previous 2 games, both in overtime though, so now they've lost a game in regulation before winning 2 in overtime, so they've had very hard games as of late. Maybe their legs are getting a bit tired, and this break coming up for a lot of the players will be exactly what they need. Stuart Skinner, he had a rare off night. He did not play good in the first period before getting pulled for Calvin Pickard. Cale Makar, he becomes the first NHL defenseman in the history of the sport to get multiple shorthanded goals in one season as a defenseman, as he recorded his 5th multi-goal game of the season. It's just an absolutely amazing accomplishment by this player. And let's just keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't stay in Calgary, or doesn't stay in Colorado, and maybe moves home to Calgary when his contract expires in a year or so. So the Avalanche, they win both games back-to-back in the province of Alberta, beating the Flames last night, beating the Oilers tonight. Tonight's score was 5-4. Our last game of the night is the LA Kings taking on the Dallas Stars in LA, where the Kings, they win 5-4 in a shootout. Kevin Fiala, he was all in the news for this game. He scored for the 3rd straight game. Fiala, he thought he scored in overtime as well, but it got disallowed due to goaltender interference. Drew Doughty, he clipped Jake Ottinger's pad, deeming it a no goal. In overtime, the fans went ballistic. Fiala was bouncing like a maniac, and he thought he had scored 2 goals for 3 games in a row, which would have been just absolutely outstanding, even though he has scored in 3 straight games, which is incredible nonetheless. But at the same time, 2 goals in 3 straight games is just absolutely insane. But it was all for nothing, and Fiala, he had to settle for the game-winning goal in the shootout instead. Philip Deneau, he was another player that stood out in this game. He had 2 assists for the Kings. The Kings, they improved to 29, 17, and 6. They're having a pretty good season, but at the same time, they are only 3rd in the division with the Canucks, with the Flames, all trying to fight to catch up to them in the standings. The Kings, they have won 3 in a row, so they are on a nice little triple game schedule win thing, but at the same time they have to keep going to maintain that spot. Big save Dave Riddick, he was in net for this game. He made 26 saves in the winning effort. Matt Duchene, he was the star player for the Dallas Stars in this game. He had 2 goals and an assist. He contributed big time for his team, leading by example the veteran of this league, Jake Ottinger, the Otter. He was in net. He will be either the 2nd or the 3rd goaltender for the Americans in the Four Nations face-off. His goalie mask just got released. I will talk about it more in my Four Nations face-off preview, but it is gorgeous. Let's just say that. Back to the Stars. They are now 34, 18, and 2, getting a point in overtime tonight. They have lost 2 in a row, but they did gain a point in this game. They are still in the top 3 of the division, and hopefully they are having a great season nonetheless. But at the same time, they have to keep maintaining those points or else things might get off the rails. I think they are a shoo-in for the playoffs, but at the same time, you never know in this league. Warren Fogel's goal for the Kings in this game came just 11 seconds into the game. There was a couple games tonight that had goals right off the bat. And later on in the first period, exactly 2 seconds left in the first period, Matt Duchene, he scored his first goal of the game, making that game 1-1 heading into the second period. This was Kevin Fiala's 5th goal in his past 3 games. He's having an absolutely amazing run of games. How cool would it have been if he got 6 out of 3? I really wish it happened. And his celebration, he was so happy when it happened, and it just got yanked away from him. No care in the world. So the Kings, they end up winning, thank goodness, because that would have caused a lot of drama if they hadn't. They win 5-4 in a shootout against the Dallas Stars. All right, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all my new subscribers to this channel. A couple of you reached out, so thank you so much for reaching out. Hope you enjoyed this content. That's continuing to come, and we will see you tomorrow. There are 14 games on the NHL schedule. We got hockey all day long. 11 a.m. it starts for me here in Alberta, but 1 o'clock start for all the East Coasters, or Easterners, you might say. We only have 2 days left until the break for the Four Nations face-off. We got 14 games Saturday, we got 2 on Sunday, and then it's international hockey, best on best once again. I'll be doing live streams for the games, and I will be having a Four Nations face-off preview heading into that tournament for you guys to watch and get some stats in for you. But nonetheless, thank you so much for being here. It means the absolute world to me. Have a great night. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.